Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to say all praise, honor, and glory. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the house of David. Salutations to you brothers throughout the four corners of the earth, teaching the truth in righteousness and sincerity. And to you Israelite foreigners, come back home to the truth. All right, I'm doing this video because a question came up from a brother. I'm not going to say who or none of that, BS. Just out of concern, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing this video. It's a topic that has come up a lot, and I understand why it comes up a lot. But we're going to get into it. The question came up of Esau being the Arabs. All right. So first and foremost, I'm going to pull up a little bit of history here. Right. This book, I'm not going to go into it. This book very thoroughly discusses Islamic history, and it goes into the Ottomans who were Edomites, white Arabs. So are there Edomites that are Arabs? Abso-fucking-lutely. There are Edomites, Caucasians that are Arabs. The Ottomans, the Seljuk Turks, all those Turks that converted to Islam, those are primarily so-called white people. The problem is that the so-called white people are way more than just Islamic converts. Just like you have white people that converted to Islam, you have white people that converted to Christianity, white people that converted to Judaism. This book I haven't read yet. I've had it in my possession for a while. The title pretty much says it all. The Roman Empire of the Edomite, written in 1853 by William Beeston. I mean, like I said, the title pretty much kind of says it all. I haven't really gone deep into the book, but it does make some good points. I believe it is available on Amazon. I want to make this point very concise. I don't want to rehash all types of stuff. You brothers out there in the truth, you already know what this book says about Edom and Esau. So let me see what the hell's the... Oh, here we go. All right. You already know what this book... Well, you have the compact Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Pretty much says the same thing about Esau. This book here doesn't say much of anything super defining about Esau. It pretty much says the same thing. But you need to look no further than the scriptures to prove that the so-called white man is the Edomites, and that the Arabs are the Ishmaelites, right? So reading on or starting, I'm going to start with Genesis 16 and 11. Genesis, the book of Genesis, the word Genesis means in the beginning, right? The word Genesis in Hebrew is Ba Ra'ash Yath. Ba means in, Ra'ash, Yath means beginning or heading. Heading or beginning is the same thing. All right, so it says, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child. This is talking to Sarah. And shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand shall, against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. All right, he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Arabs are every fucking where. Arabs are in India. They're among Elam, and Elamites are Hebrew. Arabs are all over America, which is covered with Israelites and Edomites, which are all Hebrew. Arabs are pretty much all over the world right now. So that's what that goes into. But also keep in mind, he will be a wild man. Arabs are wild, man. Arabs are wild. You know what? You know why they're wild? Because only they will a lot of brothers take the fact that they'll put bombs on themselves and blow up themselves and other people. That's true too, but you got to also factor in Arabs were the first ones to really go after the so-called white man with no power to go after the so-called white man. You know, World War I, World War II, the countries that fought all were pretty evenly matched. Arabs have nothing. They came from having nothing and still fighting against the so-called white man. Still fighting against the so-called white man. All right. So, yeah, that's pretty wild. You know, you don't have nothing but rocks and bullshit ass weapons, and you're going against people with tanks, and you're still giving them the business. So yeah, I would pretty much say that that's pretty wild. All right. Another one. Salak. Genesis 28, verse 9. It says, then went Esau unto Ishmael, because a lot of brothers don't understand that Esau mingled himself among a lot of races. Esau went unto Ishmael and took unto the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife. Now, this is important because, you know, Esau has mingled in with Ishmael before. Now, one thing I also want to point out is if Esau were the Arabs, then who's Ishmael? Then you're going to present yourself with a big question mark that you can't even really begin to fathom. It wouldn't make sense. Even the Arabs know that they're of Ishmael. The Arabs know it. But anyway, reading on, also, you know, Esau mingled his way among the so-called Chinese during the time of fuck's that nigga name? Cracker, actually. Genghis Khan. Are we going to say the Chinese are Esau too? Because a lot of Chinese are Edomites because of the Mongols raiding China. You know, Esau worked his way into a lot of different cultures. Esau stole Egypt. Cleopatra was an Edomite, but she's considered to be African. You know, you see what I'm saying? So if you go into history, Esau has worked his way into a lot. The original Europeans were of color. The first Europeans was Japhet. By the way, a lot of the guys that say that Esau is the Arabs, they also say Japhet is the white man. You know what I'm saying? So just to kind of throw that out there to you. You got to be very careful from these doctrines, man. These doctrines, these things that are being taught are false. Now, reading on, because I want to drive this point home that the Arabs are Ishmael. Now, let's quickly common sense, because I can go into scriptures and read it, but for the sake of time, I know y'all don't want to sit here and look at a 2-hour presentation. Let's keep it simple. If we're walking from Egypt to Israel, and when you read the scriptures and we walk through the wilderness, right? The wilderness, it stands to reason, is somewhere between Egypt and Israel. Now let's read Jeremiah 3:2. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast not been lean with. In the ways hast thou sat for them as the Arabian in the wilderness. Where are the Arabians? In the wilderness. So it stands to reason that the land of the Arabians is in the Middle East, because between Egypt and Israel is a lot of Arabic countries, or a few. And thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. Now, you don't have to look at, well, go ahead and look at a map. Go ahead and look at a map. Make it easy on yourself. All right. I'm not going to pull it up because, like I said, I know that Israel doesn't like to sit there and look at a whole 2-hour presentation. And the points are very simple. I'm going to go to Genesis 25:1 now. Matter of fact, we all know the scripture. I'm just going to go to the point. 25 and 25. The first came out red all over like in hairy garment. Now, a lot of Arabs are red and they are hairy, just like the so-called white man. But let's read on. And they called his name Esau. You know, everything has to match, not just a couple characteristics. After that came his brother out, which is Jacob, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. So Esau was out there hunting and you know, basically a man of the field. He was a man of you know, just being out there hunting and you know, just wild, right? But not wild, you know, because I know y'all gonna say, oh well, that's wild like the Arabs. No, he was a man of the field, meaning he was a man that liked to be out there hunting, just like the so-called white man. The white man hunts for sport. No other nation actually sits there and hunts for sport. This guy's a cunning hunter. Why is Esau a cunning hunter? These motherfuckers done created all types of shit that you could call animals with, and all types of scopes and rifles that you can hunt animals with. You know, other nations throw spears and other nations do all types of shit. Esau revolutionized hunting throughout history. It's a known fact. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob because, remember, Rebekah's the one that went to see the seer, and the seer told her what the purpose was going to be for these two children. And Jacob sod pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said unto Jacob, feed me with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Now, if you read Hebrews 16 and 11 or 12, we're going to, you know, go into that later, but it says that a morsel of meat was what he sold his birthright for. So this pottage had a morsel of meat. So that's why it was red. Therefore his name is called Edom, which means red. And when you look at Arabs and white people, which one actually is more red? The so-called white man. Right? So, and Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. I mean, you already know this. I ain't gotta, you know, like I said, for the sake of saving time, we're going to go to Genesis 36 and 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom, just in case anybody needed any type of clarification. Now let's go to the top cut. Remember what I said earlier. Esau, the Arabs were the first ones to take on Esau, and this scripture is going to go into it. The first Arab that really aimed at Esau was Gamar Nasser, which, if you read this book, if you really want to go into that history, you can. This book goes all into how Gamar Nasser basically wanted to fight against the so-called white man. So reading on, it says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord concerning Edom. So this is what we heard about Edom, that Obadiah brought out. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador, a representative, is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. So who's the ones that actually pinpointed the so-called white man and said, those are the enemy, let's go after them? It was the Arabs. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. Now, where's the so-called white man from? What does he love to be? He loves to be in the mountains. Historically, he's a mountain man. The Caucasus Mountains is where they're from. Yes, there are mountains in Saudi in the Middle East, but the so-called white man is the one that prefers the mountains. And the Caucasus Mountains are very high, much higher than probably any of the mountains in the Middle East. So it says, whose habitation is high. The so-called white man loves being high. That's why they have these big-ass skyscrapers. Biggest buildings in the world are in America. That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So who's the ones? Because the Arabs are already down. They're not in power. Esau is, the Edomites are. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle is the white man's symbol, not the Arab symbol. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee by day, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they have had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? What is this talking about? This is talking about people that steal everything. You know, if you go to somebody's house, you might take a TV, you might take some valuables. These motherfuckers take everything. When it comes down to the doing business with them, they want every dollar that they can possibly get out of you. They want every bit of your talent that they can possibly get out of you. Esau created multitasking. They want one person to do the work of 5. All right. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and have prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Who's richer, the Arabs or the so-called white man? Of course, the Arabs definitely give the white man work with the oil, but the white man has access and control over a lot more than just oil. The rich bankers, they run the finances of the whole world. So don't give me a damn Arabs or the so-called white man. Shall I not in that day say, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of Esau? And thy mighty men, O T-man, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Okay? So then the question becomes, because I'm not going to read everything here because, you know, everything doesn't make the point. But ultimately, you know, when you I'm going back to it. Who has been more violent towards the so-called black and Hispanics, the Arabs or the so-called white man? The white man has a history of the white man's history is towards black and Hispanic people has been obey me or I'm going to fucking kill you. That's the way they've been toward us. That's the way they've been treating us for many years. Where Arabs, they might have had to get us in order, you know, to enslave us in certain things. We fought certain wars against them, but the violence doesn't add up to you could see mad pictures of lynchings and pure organizations of just pure violence. The Arabs have been, comparatively speaking, much kinder to Israelites than the Edomites, the so-called white man. Now, I'm going to give you something that you can't get around, right? For those of you that, you know, that want a way to cut this doctrine about Esau being the Arabs. Oh shit, my bad. All right, let me make it real simple for you. We can trace Esau all the way to the Greeks. Write down these scriptures, please. All right, because we could go into its characteristics, we could go into geography, we could go into a lot of things, but this is, like, to me, the most 100% foolproof way to prove that Esau is the so-called white man. We know that the Greeks were white. We know that the original Greeks were Japhet, but during, you know, from the Alexander the Greek, they were Caucasian. We know that. All right. So this is Genesis 36:12. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. So Esau was the father of Eliphaz, and Eliphaz had a son by the name of Amalek. So far, you can prove that Esau is the grandfather of Amalek. Now, why is that important to prove? Or what does that have to do? I'm going to show you. 2 Samuel 15:8. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, wait a minute. 2 Samuel, or is it 1 Salak? It might be 1 Samuel, and you know, I'm getting old. You know, let me just, you know, not waste time and kind of get to it. Because I kind of prided myself that I was going to get to the point. Yeah, this is it. I'm sorry. 1 Samuel, not 2 Samuel. 1 Samuel 15:8. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. So Agag was the king of the Amalekites. So in other words, now you can prove that Esau is an ancestor to Agag. All right. Now, why is Agag important to prove that Esau is the so-called white man? Let's go to Esther. Esther 3 verse 1. Esther 3 verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. Now, we could also go into Ezekiel, the 25th chapter, to talk about how much Esau hates Israel, because this chapter, this book really goes a lot into how the so-called white man hates Israelites and sheds our blood and everything. But this video is advanced level, so you should already know it by now. So we can now prove that Esau is the ancestor of Haman because he's an Agagite, and Agag is descendant of Amalek. So now, what's important about Haman being related to Esau? What's important about him? Let's see. What is this? Additions to Esther. Okay. This officially sucks. Never had this problem before. See, that's Satan right there. So what I'm going to do, let's see, where am I going to look? Okay. That's all right. Let's see. Haman's name in the Apocrypha is Ammon. And this is very important to understand because we're going to go to Esther 16 and 10. There's more than one way to skin an Edomite. Here we go. 16 and 10. For Ammon, a Macedonian, the son of Ammedatha, being indeed a stranger from Persian blood. So he wasn't Persian, but he was empowered during the Persian Empire. But here's what's important. For Ammon, a Macedonian. So now you have a link between Esau and the Macedonians. Now, you pretty much know where the hell I'm going to seal the deal. First Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetam, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. So you already know that seals the deal. The Greeks are the so-called white man, which also means Esau is the so-called white man. Now, just to seal the deal a little bit more, just in case there's any doubt, let's take a look at this. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre? This is Joel 3, verses 4 to 6. Actually, 6, yeah. Okay. O Tyre and Zidon. Now, Tyre and Zidon during different periods were Israelites. They were Hamites. And, different. That land has changed different power structures. Right? Tyre and Zidon is now ruled by Arabs. It's in the Middle East. It says, and all the coast of Palestine, which is also in the Middle East. Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, which is Israelites, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. Israel. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Now, what's our border? Our border is Israel. Now, Africa is not far from our border. It's a relatively quick sail, or it's a quick walk if you're going from east. Well, I'm using quick, but it's really relatively quick, right? So what's far from our border? Far from our border is North, Central, and South America. So the Grecians are the people that bought the children of Judah and Jerusalem off the Palestinians and Tyre and Zidon, which are now ruled by Arabs and were ruled by Arabs during that time, and removed us far from our border. So this is the quick version. Again, I can really take some time and make a 2-hour presentation about it, but I pretty much think that the point is proven. With that, I'm gonna say shalom, and much love to y'all, and that's it. Love y'all. Shalom.